Today's AskReddit post: what's a relatively unknown technological invention that will have a huge impact on the future? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. Low pressure solar powered drip irrigation systems. Gene therapy is no longer science fiction. My girlfriend got Luxturna surgery and the results have been amazing. She used to be unable to see at all at night and now she can guide herself without a cane. More treatments like that are going to keep coming and be standard before we realize it. Biotech science in general is undergoing a massive and amazing sea change right now. Gene therapy is a huge wave that's just getting started even now. And there are so many related applications that are really exciting. We are swiftly getting to the point of being able to edit safely. We can already teach your own modified immune cells to attack your cancer in things like CAR-T. And the field is really still in its infancy yet. Imagine fighting cancer effectively without the side effects of chemo. We will look back someday and think chemo was barbaric. We will look back someday and think chemo was barbaric. Someone close to me went through chemo. To think that one day, it may be a thing of the past instead of a necessity makes me very hopeful for our future. Yep, same. When I was a teen, my mother went through chemo 4 separate times for 4 separate battles with cancer. The last time she didn't make it. If I could guarantee no one else had to go through what I went through, I would give up everything I have. The invention of hypersonic missiles is starting an arms race not seen since the Cold War and nobody seems to care. I think that's because the same rules of MAD applies. If you use those you get nuked. There's no casual hypersonic missile war the same way there's no casual nuclear war. So it's a solved problem, as much as MAD is a solution. The problem is hypersonic munitions are first strike munitions. As the time to react becomes smaller and smaller, the retaliatory threat becomes a smaller and smaller threat. That's the concern with weapons of that nature, because they actually diminish MAD considerations when it comes to WMDs rather than allow for a status quo. Submarines matter. Doesn't matter if you knock out all their bases and missiles, hypersonic or not. A missile sub parked just offshore guarantees retaliation, and they carry several missiles, which all are MIRVs. One sub can annihilate an entire country. Printed human skin and organs. There are still some decent hurdles to overcome for macro-scale application of 3D printing biologicals. But yeah, this will be a super good one in the future. Wake me up when they solve the microscale blood perfusion issues. I believe there's literature on successful microvascularization. I'd have to hunt it down though. My bet is on CRISPR. A genetic technology that enables DNA modification on live organisms at a very low cost. Sadly, I cannot predict whether the impact will be positive or not. Golden skinned sovereign race IRL. Green skin is obviously the only way. Photosynthesis. So Shrek is a documentary from the future. Shrek is love. Shrek is life. Shrek is our future. Lithium sulfur batteries are in development right now that could make battery storage much cheaper than current lithium ion and lithium polymer batteries. Lower cost batteries mean more people can afford to use them, and that's more internal combustion engines replaced with electric motors. While I'm at it, battery recycling. Every element in a battery can be extracted and recycled into new batteries, especially the lithium. A former founding member of Tesla has actually already opened a plant to do just that. Edit. Oh wow, thanks everyone. Apparently Reddit loves batteries. I'm a bit skeptical. There are dozens, if not hundreds, huge capacity and theoretically cheaper batteries out there that have never left the research phase. I'm not sure if LES is the same. There's often a trade-off with different chemistry. But we're seeing massive improvements in battery technology. My 2014 Tesla has the same amount of power in the battery watt-hours as a new Model 3, but the new Tesla weighs over 1,000 pounds less and has 80 more miles of range. While I'm not arguing your point about the battery, I think the extra 80 miles in range comes directly from the lighter weight. Yes, he knew that. He's saying it's lighter because of the battery. Research into bacteriophages, bacteria targeting viruses. could cure antibiotic-resistant bacterium such as MRSA. TBH, I was actually waiting for someone to say this. This can be revolutionary since it allows specific targeting. Any kind of advance in batteries and the ability to store electrical energy. A huge portion of electronic devices are only limited in scope because of how much battery power it would require. And that's a field which has become largely stagnant. There are a few promising things out there but nothing actively in development. But such an advance in technology would unlock the potential of technology that already exists but is currently impractical. Edit. I'm not just talking about smartphones, but any device that runs on a battery, particularly electric cars. Edit. Hey folks. Thanks for all the replies. Definitely learning a ton about the subject. Not going to summarize it here, but look at the comments below to learn more because there's great info there. Also, as many have said, significant applications to renewable energy too. Don't forget making electronics more power efficient as well. It's a two-lane street. The problem I think stems from PCs being plugged in and most mobile development still being in the mindset of PC developers. They get a more powerful device and instead of building on the efficient code they had to make for the last one, they just build a bloated lazy app for the new one because it can power through the laziness. In other words, if more developers would code like they did for the first smartphones, our ducking batteries would already be lasting all damn day. There is no incentive at all to code like they did for the first smartphones. The app market doesn't reward efficient code and efficiency comes at the expense of developer time. If the trade-off is one very efficient feature or two normal features, companies will always pick two features. For individual apps there's little reward for efficiency, but for the OS itself the rewards are huge. Also, some apps limit power usage to keep the user from wanting to leave the app as quickly. In my field, games, we often cap at 30 FPS even on devices that would be able to achieve a smooth 60 FPS. Because we know that it will keep the device cooler and they can play longer if the game isn't consuming as much power. Wireless EKG machines. As an epileptic I'd be pretty into a wireless EKG too. As an epileptic, I'd love to see more accessible self-driving cars. Specifically, one that can take over and safely park and call 911 if it detects the driver having a seizure or other loss of consciousness. I would think wireless EKG technology could play a huge part of that. My EKG showed me throwing off wonky seizure brainwaves when I was perfectly fine but then didn't pick up when I actually had a seizure. During my 3-day ambulatory EKG. Brains are weird. Apparently that's called seizure potential and is exactly how they confirmed I had epilepsy and that it was triggered by a head injury when I was a baby toddler. But also, I was having minor seizures that my EKG didn't pick up either. In my 24-hour ones or my 5-day inpatient one, it didn't catch my reaction to a very specific strobe speed pattern either, which is unfortunate because I know I'm reactive to a certain kind of strobing but because I tend not to be able to remember very well after, I don't know what type to be avoiding, or covering my eyes for, or being warned about. Mine required me to hit the button and marked when I thought I was having a seizure or felt one coming on. Which is probably both for the purposes of marking where a seizure might be more clearly, and for marking it in case it's not a seizure but something else so that they can examine it more closely. I think it's possible that many seizures, depending on type, may not show changes above our seizure potential but if it was a tonic-clonic seizure I'm fascinated. Solid state batteries, maybe, from memory, larger capacity, much faster charging, and significantly longer life. Edit. I posted this late at night, based on a memory of a video I saw months ago. Read through the responses to find out that I'm not exactly correct, and it likely won't be the tech that replaces lithium ions. Still cool though. Have these been invented already? Oh, yes, but they haven't made it to production yet. It isn't scalable yet, meaning while the technology is viable, it turns into an engineering problem on how to mass produce it on such a scale as to reduce the overall cost of the technology. This is a common problem with advanced technologies that take years before they reach the consumer. The modern GPS was one such device. It's been around since the 60s, but consumers didn't get the viable tech until the late 90s, early 2000s, 40 years later because of scalability. Very rarely does tech go from research to mass-produced consumer tech in a year. Hell, key wireless charging started in the early 2000s and didn't become a consumer product until the late 2010s, and that was with a consortium of consumer products companies working together. Duracell was the first to launch a key wireless charger, but it failed because smartphones didn't have the tech integrated yet. Batteries containing nuclear waste encases in synthetic diamond supposedly can go thousands of years without charge and are perfectly safe. Currently being trialed in the UK. Better voltaics, they're more of energy harvesters than batteries, but being able to last hundreds of years is really cool for some things. They don't put out much power ATM though, so they're pretty niche. They're coming along nicely. Hopefully they can find a way to produce energy from them. The potential is theoretically huge. Long distance wireless electricity transport. Space solar panels. Here we come. See, Dyson swarms with maser power transmitters. Technically possible with existing technology. 2. You only have to consume like all of Mercury for the resources required. So, what good is Mercury doing us? Mine that bitch. I can see all the astrologists weeping oceans of tears right now. How see and Mercy Uri be in retrograde Neo www. Inverted question mark. Every horoscope will just say Mercury is ducking gone. Extract whatever meaning from that you want. I don't care anymore. While not an unknown technology, deepfake is still in its infancy and it terrifies me. We already live in a time when people take irrefutable video evidence and somehow find ways to rationalize away what they are seeing. People don't listen to science anymore. Truth has become frighteningly subjective. Think of all the videos of police shootings, political scandals, whistleblowers, assassinations and more. Now, add in a technology that has the potential to create doubt about the validity of what we are seeing. It's the perfect excuse, and all people will need, to kill that last little bit of logical thought deep in their brain. It is a perfect tool to create chaos and discord. Politicians will use it to create confusion and doubt, to sow fear, create false narrative and delegitimize their opponents, or to cast doubt on crimes and acts they have committed. Something that was once impossible to rationalize away will become yet another misinformation tool and engine to sow doubt. Surprised to find this so far down. This is the first thing I thought of, besides DNA evidence. I feel like video evidence is our most reliable. With deepfakes, our entire judicial system will have to adjust. And that's terrifying. How do you know what to trust? You could be fed anything and not know if it's true or not. That's some Black Mirror shit right there. Image forensics is already a thing, and edited video with 1000s of frames is going to be a harder sell than a Photoshop. In the long term they may get good enough to fool even the judicial system. But within the next decade or so I'd be more concerned about the ability to construct false narratives on media. Even if forensics later proves a video false, huge numbers of people will just believe what they saw. But the bigger concern is possibly the seed doubt planted by the existence of deepfakes. People look at the moon landing footage and think it's faked. People thought Sandy Hook coverage was faked. All the more justification to their irrationality there will be. 3D printing at home. Imagine downloading the blueprints of whatever you need. Customize it and have it printed overnight and into your hands. What is now a hobby will soon be a common household tool. Star Trek replicators, here we come. It's often overlooked how Star Trek replicators were also able to recycle anything placed into them. No more landfills, no more waste, and most importantly no more doing dishes. I'm surprised no one has said it yet, but automation is getting incredibly sophisticated. There will be no need for a lot of people to work in factories. I went to an assembly expo and the manufacturing technology of today is mind-blowing. Some jobs you still need humans, but even then, many of those jobs are getting foolproof to the point that previous jobs that required skills will be able to be replaced by cheaper labor with lesser skill. I think it's ultimately a good thing, but who knows how long it will be before society catches up to technology. This is definitely gonna change our society in a profound way in the next decades and will challenge capitalism in a lot of ways. It will not only replace factory jobs but plenty of other jobs. We'll have to think what to do with all the people who won't have a job because machines will be able to do certain jobs better and cheaper than any human ever could. This could be a huge opportunity for society if handled correctly, or could be the biggest problem we have ever faced. It's expected to displace half the workforce of all workers by 2050. Think about that. I helped convert a fastening company that made the part of the seatbelt buckles that connect to the floor of the car. The factory floor used to have hundreds of workers. Now it's got 5 people. 3 mechanics. 1 guy running the pallet wrap, label and scale. And 1 guy on the forklift loading trucks and staging. Mechanics aside, the other 2 jobs can be automated. It's scary how there's even a robot that can build cardboard boxes, pack them accurately, seal, label and ship them. It's a cool station to watch. And like Amazon, the pallet robots can even be used to stage and load trucks. You only need mechanics to maintain the equipment. Everything else can be remotely programmed and changed on the fly. What happened to all the other workers? BCI brain-computer interface have been used to control games with your mind, speak to another person telepathically, and make prosthetic limbs be controlled easier. CBI computer-brain interface have been used to make a blind person regain their sight through camera glasses, and make monkeys feel things in VR that weren't there. If we perfect both of these, we could do a lot. I feel like SpaceX being able to reuse rockets doesn't get enough attention. Costs for getting stuff into space will go down, meaning more possible space stations or even building a mega structure one day. Edit. You guys need to think outside of your Reddit sphere. I'd wager to say most people have no idea that this achievement has even happened. Our space design is about that. Car manufacturers started installing this device in your car that will indicate when you plan on turning or changing lanes. It's called a turn signal, but most drivers who know about it refer to it as a blinker. Not many people have picked up on it yet, but when it goes mainstream, it will make driving so much simpler. I'd have to go with fusion power. It definitely exists and is possible, but is still in the research phase and always remains slightly out of reach. But ITER is being built in France, which should be able to produce a 10-fold increase in energy output over input. Additionally, new discoveries are being made all the time in how fusion devices could be miniaturized. Imagine near limitless clean energy and fossil fuels becoming redundant. If everything works out perfectly, we'll have fusion power within 30 years, and 1 kilogram of fusion fuel will be about 10 million times more effective than 1 kilogram of fossil fuel, or so I have heard. I was talking with my spine surgeon and he said in 30 years they will be able to regenerate the gel in your spine, practically giving you a new back. Edit. Wow, thanks everyone for all the upvotes. A little more background. I've herniated the same 2 disc in my lower back twice by the time I was 30. My doctor told me that by the time I'm 50 I'll most likely need back surgery, but it shouldn't be a big deal since they can replace the gel. Not sure technical name. That's been impacted by the slip discs. Doctor, my back is broken. Don't worry, I got your back. I saw a new solar panel that is like Glad wrap that goes on windows. Clear, thin film that covers windows and collects solar power. So you don't need to put the large panels on rooftops. So if you think about it, on city skyscrapers there is more surface area on the sides of the building than the roof. Everyone east and west of the building having invisible solar panels. There's a company that made something like this. Solar panel glass. That's practically invisible. As invisible as glass. There are tiny wires inside, but that's all you see. Rear window defogger and reverse. Cool. Not for solar power. Just fogging people's car windows slightly just to mess with them. Nice try. Wall Street. Mayo right. This guy looking for stock tips when the market's having a shit day. I'm still reading for the same. 3D printing. We have only scratched the surface. We have only scratched the surface. You're thinking of laser etching. We have only scratched the surface. Z-axis limit switch is broke. Lab-grown meat. Meat has a huge impact on our environment. Not to mention that lab-grown meat can be made a bit more healthy for you and ultimately way cheaper. And of course we're all suffering through COVID because someone wanted to eat a live bat. Where's the beef is about it. Lab-grown meat is also the option C that solves the divide between people who like to eat meat and people who want to end animal cruelty. Lab-grown meat is also the option D that solves the divide between people who like to eat human flesh and people who are cannibals. So which celebrity will be cloned for consumption first? And that's enough internet for the day. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.